Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Fun Friday, and we're going to talk a little bit about the fun, socially distant things that we're going to be doing this weekend. Um, I know on my end that our plans have drastically changed. Um, we've had absolutely gorgeous weather the past few days. And then last night, I get a weather alert text message that we are in for winter severe weather. And I'm like, that's nuts because it's been so beautiful. But then I remember it's Kansas and the weather's nuts. So I'm going to come over here and say good morning. Good morning to Mike Wheeler, Alyssa Sternberg, Christine Hickman, T. Marie Photography, Lady Jamers, Kate Schuster. I hope I pronounced that right. Hello from New Jersey. Hello, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Stevie Lee, Lady Jamers, says that she watched Onward this morning. I have not yet. I'll have to watch it. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard that some people love it, some people hate it. So, that's just, kind of how it goes. Oh, Stevie Lee, sometimes it happens. I know Mike understands. I forgot one time and typed a whole bunch of stuff in caps. I was like, oh, retract before Mike's speech thing gets too crazy on him. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. It took a long time for me to be able to go to sleep last night. I don't know why. And then Sam's alarm went off and I went back to sleep. And then maybe about an hour ago, I woke up to just, how, I don't know, it's those itty bitty little hail balls that just like ping off things. And we have window air conditioning units and we just leave them in year round. So they were pinging off of that and pinging off of the garbage dumpsters right outside of my window. And so I just threw my headphones into my phone because I have to have noise to sleep and Sam needs quiet. So I use just like those white headphones that you sometimes see me wearing on stream. Um, I threw those in and because I take them out and he goes to work, so I don't have to worry about it. But I put him back in and I went back to sleep until literally about 15 minutes ago. I was like, oh, I have a live stream in 15 minutes. So it the weather was very conducive to sleep, which was very, very nice. I haven't been sleeping well lately. Um, I think that everyone's have, just a lot of uncertainty and whatnot. So it was nice to get like well-rounded sleep, of course, but I'm still getting on because, my brain isn't quite awake yet. I haven't had coffee. I haven't had anything to eat yet. But I wanted to jump on and talk with you guys this morning. So I social so today's Fun Friday, and Sam, I'm trying to decide what we're gonna do tonight for our Fun Friday. Sometimes sometimes we'll play a game like a board game or a card game, or we do have a Wii U, and we will sometimes play that. Um, we might watch something on TV. Um, I have I have a smart TV in my craft room, and so Sam actually, when he gets home from work, his lower back and hips really bother him. So I sit here at my work area to like eat dinner or something, and then he actually lays on the floor right in front of it. So if he lays with his head up towards the TV, he can see it, and he can lay on the floor so that his back can kind of help realign. So that's always a possibility. But I don't know. It it just kind of, and it depends on like how tired Sam is. I foresee Sam being a lot more tired in the upcoming weeks. Um, he is the paint and wiring supervisor for that section, but then he is also number 2 for the shop foreman. So like the shop foreman's here, and then there's Sam, and then as the 1 and 2, and then it's all the supervisors. So Sam is here and here, with his job. Well, the main shop supervisor, not the main shop foreman, apparently yesterday had a heart attack. He was being rushed to the heart hospital yesterday, and so he's like, I may be a little bit more busy in the coming weeks. I'm like, no kidding. So I'm not going to name any names, for privacy, but we want to make sure to keep Sam's shop foreman in all of our prayers for a speedy recovery. Stevie Lee says, I want to get a Switch. I've been watching too much Animal Crossing stream on YouTube. A lot of people really like the Nintendo Switch. Sam and I are always like the last to buy any like console. We were really excited to buy a PS3 right as PS3s were like being phased out. Same with the Wii U. We don't need and I mean that this isn't anything on UCV. We don't need like the latest and greatest. And to be quite honest, sometimes the latest and greatest confuse me. I need something very simple to work. And even I will say, even learning how to use the like pad for the Wii U, we got it before we had a YouTube channel. Or before I had a YouTube channel, but that would have been really funny for Sam to video me trying to learn how to use that stupid tablet. I literally almost threw it across the room. I was so mad. Lady Jamers says, I found a homemade pizza crust recipe without yeast. Awesome. I have a special pizza that I'm going to make for that, but I'm not going to share any details. If anyone is wondering what we're talking about, I am hosting a collab in May. It's called the Quarantine Pizza Party Challenge collab, and it's where literally you make a homemade pizza. I know a lot of people, you know, they're wavering back and forth because Sam and I talked about it last night when I told him about it, and he said it was a pretty good idea. Pam's fan, welcome in. People are writing down a middle line between they want to support their local restaurants because they want them to be open when this is all over. However, they also want to make sure that they have enough money for like groceries and stuff. And if you figure, let's say you take Sam and I are a little different. There's two of us. We could eat at Pizza Hut for $20. They have that 2 for $15 deal that's also offered now as delivery, because of the crazy. But still, at maximum, we're each getting a small pizza and maybe a breadstick, and that's it. I mean, for $15, if we each got a small pizza, that's fine, and we can eat it at home, and we have our own drinks, and we're not paying, the $3 for a soft drink there, yada yada yada. Lady Jamer, Stan would agree with you. But could I take that same $20 and go to the local grocery store, and instead of $20 making a small thing of breadsticks and 2 small pizzas, could I take that same money and buy a whole bunch of pre-made, like either the Mama Mia's, like the pre-made crusts, or some of the Pillsbury pre-made crusts, or You see what I'm saying? Like the $20 could go so much farther at another location, and I am not against supporting your local restaurants. I'm 100% down for that. But I know a lot of people, who are out of a job, who are trying to find ways to make that money stretch until their jobs come back. Star 9630. Oh, okay. I was like, huh? Um, so I thought that doing a homemade pizza challenge would be fun. And there's so many ways to do pizza. Here's a pizza. There's pizza rolls. There's pizza pockets. There's dessert pizza. There is, you know, Brooklyn style or New York style or, Chicago style. There's hand crust, deep dish, trash can pizza. I mean, like the gamut of what you can do with a pizza is pretty much endless. And I think that's why a lot of people. I know when I was in youth group, the joke always was, what company are they ordering pizza through? Because it seemed every youth group event that we went to, it was pizza. Now, granted, it's probably the easiest thing that they could get in bulk on some sort of deal that would feed, several hundred kids. Um, but it was always the running joke that, whose pizza are we getting today? Little Caesars or Domino's or Pizza Hut or Mazio's or uh, Godfather's or, insert other pizza chain, here. Or, when we went to Devo, we would make either bagel pizzas or English muffin pizzas or, pizza, 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 pizza. But then again, it's simple and easy to make. So it works. So I thought that quarantine pizza party challenge would be really fun. If you are interested in participating, hit me up on Instagram. Um, that way I can add you to that chat. Instagram has been acting kind of funky lately. So if I tell you that I've added you and you don't see it right away, please let me know. Several people who we thought were participating in the pantry raid challenge never got the messages, or like everything just popped up in the past couple days and they're like, wait a minute, I didn't even know this was going on. I wasn't aware of this. So we felt really bad about that. It does look like the email went out 15 minutes in that we are live, so there we go. Good to know that I'm live. But so tell me in the chat, what kind of things are you doing this weekend to have, like, or what are you going to do tonight for Fun Friday? At home, are you with your family? Mike Lewis is okay. I'm back. I got a card from Mama Mouse, but not my package. Mike, message Mama and let her know, and see if she can get you the tracking number for that. That way, you can find out when it's supposed to arrive. Lady Jammer says, will try out how the Shirley Temple drink today. Don't have enough stuff to make 2 batches of gray stuff. Yeah. So what are you guys doing for your Friday night activities? Something that I'm going to start that will be a Friday video. It is called Budget Friendly Friday. And it will be whether it is like taking an expensive dish. Like, to me, grilled cheese is a pretty expensive dish because it takes a lot to make something small. And so grilled cheese is going to be my first budget-friendly Friday video next week. And then I'm going to do the following Friday is going to be a date night box. And the following Friday is going to be a craft with toilet paper tubes. Resort tonight, Resort TV1. Yeah, Resort TV1 is live tonight. Pam is going to watch YouTube live streams. Yep, I think that's what we all kind of are doing. Anybody going to set up like a game match or anything fun like that? Lena, is it alright if I post in here something that people could sign up for to get free Hallmark cards? Of course you can, Mike Wheeler. Of course. Yeah, 100% okay, Mike. Lady Jamer says, for dinner, you are having leftover pot roast with egg noodles. Yep. Okay, Lady Jamer's question, because this will be really funny. Do you take, like, your meat and dice it up into cubes, throw it in a skillet, and chop up, like, the carrots and potatoes and stuff into smaller pieces, add some more gravy mix and thicken it up like a stew, and then serve it over your egg rolls? Because if you do, that's going to make me laugh, because that's what my mom always did with leftovers. It's a thing where they're doing to stay connected the old-fashioned way by sending out cards. Oh, that's so awesome, Mike. Yeah, once you post the link, I will do that too. Yeah, that's awesome. I encourage you right now. If you know hallmark.com/care enough, okay? Um send a send a card to your local nursing home, because they are not allowed to have visitors, and they are really sad, and they are missing their families, and if they didn't have families coming anyway, they're even more lonely because the kids that come to visit aren't coming. So I encourage you to use, even if you just use construction paper with your kids and make cards and send them, I encourage you to do that. Okay. And it looks like they've sent out over 2 million cards now. Okay. Okay. We're going to do screen share. Okay, so here is the website that Mike Wheeler has sent us. It's hallmark.com/care enough, and they have my guess is their original plan was to send out 1 million cards, and apparently with the response, they are up to sending out 2 million cards. It looks like you get a free 3-pack of cards. You fill out the form, and then you can use when you get them in, you can definitely use the you can share on Instagram, use the hashtag care enough, And then it looks like you can get a uplifting romance for free from Hallmark Publishing. And it looks like you can, if you are a new subscriber to Hallmark Movies Now, you can get a free month that way as well. So I encourage you to do that, get some other free things on here that you can take advantage of. Thank you, Mike, for sharing that with us. I appreciate that. Lady James says, well, I made the pot roast 2 nights ago and had meat pie last night and still have leftovers, so just putting the remaining meat over noodles. Haven't decided if brown gravy or tomato sauce. Yeah, growing up, Sundays were when Dad would make a roast while we were at church. And so, like a couple of days, we'd kind of eat on it or whatnot, or the next day, Mom would make that leftover stuff stretch by chopping up the meat and the carrots and the potatoes. And then she would just thicken it up. And sometimes she'd serve it over rice. Sometimes she would serve it over noodles. Sometimes it would just be if it depended. Sometimes Mom would just start out by making it into a stew instead of, or Dad would, depending on who was cooking. Start it off and make it into a stew. Pot roast stew is fantastic. Oh my gosh, I'm already hungry because I need to eat breakfast, but that sounds so good right now. I don't know if you just heard that, but my stomach just totally went roar. So, a lot of people commented on my picture on Instagram last night of my skillet meal that I was making. Guys, that was the frozen P.F. Chang's dinner. I kid you not, but it was really good. I was really happy with it. Um, Sam and I don't like doing it. I personally, I don't like using frozen dinners. Or if I do, I have to add to them because I don't feel like I've done anything. Um, and so when we were doing our grocery shopping, Sam's like, "Why don't you just get?" He's like, "Honey, even though you are not out of the house, you are still almost working a 40-hour week." And I kind of looked at him and I went, "Huh?" And he goes, "Well, you are live streaming." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How long are you live streaming?" I said, "Well, at that point, that was when Mama and I were going live every morning at 9 o'clock." I said, "Well, right now, Mama and I are going live at 9 from like 9 to noon." He's like, "Okay, that's 3 hours of your day right there." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Then what are you doing?" I said, "Well, then I'm getting up and I'm doing house pickup or I'm working on my own channel of stuff." And he's like, "Okay, that's till what?" I go, 2:30, 3 o'clock. He goes, "Okay, then what are you doing?" I said, "Well, then I'm starting on dinner. By that point, it's dinner time." He's like, "Okay, so there's no reason why you can't pick up some of these frozen meals, and they're completely fine." We opted not to do any of the Bertollis. I don't like how the meat comes out of them. The meat has a funky taste to me, and it's probably just me. It's probably fine. But we picked up um, some P.F. Chang's. And I wish that they had bigger bags of them. These are just smaller ones. And maybe there were bigger ones, I just didn't see them, or they may have been out. We picked up a couple chicken and a couple beef. And last night I just grabbed a couple yesterday. So I ended up grabbing the vegetable egg rolls and the Mongolian beef. So I let it set out while I was doing live streaming and doing other things around the house. And about 3 o'clock, I started throwing everything together. Started preheating the oven and all that kind of stuff. Um, and I took I we always have fresh jalapenos on hand. So I grabbed a couple jalapenos and I finally chopped them all up and threw them in with the skillet meal, and it turned out so good. And the green beans were cooked, but they weren't cooked so bad. They were tender crisp. and so were the jalapenos, and I was 100% pleasantly pleased. 100%. Sam thought it was great. There was plenty, though he did comment. He's like, next time instead of buying 4 different ones, excuse me, let's try to either get 2 big ones, or if they don't have big ones, get 4 and get 2 and 2. So that way, there's a little bit more. We were both pleasantly full. And then I baked a cake, and we had some cake last night. So yes, we really like PF Chang's too. And that's why I'm like, well, if he really wants me to buy one, which I understand, the day can really get away from me. That's why I try to schedule out my day, because you guys have seen this before. It's with my planner. I have all of my videos in the big blocks here, but then I have my day kind of broken down here so that I can make sure that I'm keeping myself on track. But sometimes even then, like sometimes live streams go longer, or sometimes I might be invited. Sorry, I might be invited into a live stream, or insert here. So it can change on a dime. So I did like having that option yesterday to just go grab that out of the deep freeze and cook that up for dinner. For your stir fry mix, you use low salt soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and water. Put in some pepper and minced onion. Oh, that sounds good. But last night, while I was watching Storage Wars, there were I was trying to lay out videos, and as of right now, until Sam and I may have to change otherwise, I plan to be at Disney September 1st through September 18th. And something that I learned from our trip in December is I need a plan. I need a plan of what videos are going up and what I'm videoing, and otherwise I'm a mess and I lose things, or crazy things happen. Good morning, Tony. Welcome in with Fantasmic Chronicles. And I don't think I did bad. I'm getting roughly 7 months out of our 2-week trip, posting twice a week. I mean, that's actually really good. That started towards the beginning of January, and it goes through the end of July. Actually, I think it goes into August. Yeah, it actually goes into the first Saturday and first Tuesday of August. So I guess if you figure that I didn't start right at the beginning of January, February, March, April, May, June, July, it really gave me 7 full months. My September trip will start middle of September, and it will right now is running in through the end of May, I think. Yeah, through the end of May. And literally what I did is I sat down and I typed it out. I said, okay, actually. Oh, not a problem, Tony. Everyone, Pam's fam and Lady Jamer says hi to Tony, and Tony says it's hard to tag. He's on mobile. Yeah, you can't really tag well on mobile. Let me I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Okay, so this is what I worked on last night. Literally, it's it was sitting down and organizing my thoughts. So as you can see here, it's the introduction to the trip, kind of, what's going to be happening, what's going on. Um, Actually, that's wrong. I like that I'm figuring this out now instead of. So the 15th is actually going to be the introduction, and the 19th is going to be the 19th will be packing video. The 22nd will be purchasing groceries for the trip. And so on and so forth. Day 0, it's time to go down to Wichita, checking in at the Hampton ICT for a room tour, and then room tours and food court reviews, and it's literally it's broken out. Some days you'll see, like right here, I actually know what park I'm going to that day. Other days, like here, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. And that's okay because like, I don't really have to know quite yet. Um so and like here, I'm switching resorts. How does that work? I've tried to break it down somewhat, for video purposes, and somewhat um since I am working, it's something that I can plan from as a travel agent to say, hey, okay, you're wondering how this works. Go check out my video. I'll send them a link and say, hey, look, I've done it before. Check out this video, and it will explain how the process works. And literally, you can see I just blocked it out. Then down here, saying goodbye to friends and changing theme parks. And then, March through, the beginning of May, um, is Universal and coming home. And then I I added this in to kind of help fill out May so that I'd like to not start a new trip in the middle of the month if possible, if possible. Um, but it just kind of worked out because I can give a favorite quick service at Disney, a favorite table service at Disney, a favorite quick service and table service at Universal, and favorite ride of the trip. Just because I think even if we have a favorite ride that we love, maybe it wasn't our favorite ride that trip. Maybe we were on maybe we're in line for the Barnstormer, and we saw a little girl, get to ride it, like get to get on get to ride for the first time. So that may end up being our favorite ride of the trip, even though Barnstormer isn't our favorite ride. I don't know how to tag on a laptop. I can only tag by typing the name manually. Yeah, Lady Jammers, put the at symbol, like it when you start to type, you just simply type at, and then Lady Jam, and just start typing the name, and it will pop up for you, and you can just hit enter or tag, and it will tag the person. You cannot do that on a mobile device. You can only do it on a computer, and you cannot tag in StreamYards. So I literally had to type your name out. Yeah, to tag Lady Jamers, that's why if I'm modding, I never mod from my phone. I might have my phone running, but I always mod from a computer because I have to be able to click faster than I can on my phone. This here. Oh, let's see. So And you should post some of that on Instagram. Not quite sure what you're wanting me to post on Instagram, Lady Jamers. But then Sam and I were kind of talking, because I have an annual pass, and I am a paid in full annual pass, I am getting two options. And I'll be getting the email about it here shortly, I'm sure, because that's what the website says. They're either offering a refund for the time frame that I could not be there or that the parks were closed, which I wouldn't have been there anyway. Well, I mean, I would have been. My April trip was canceled because of COVID. And I some things had come up, and I wasn't going to be able to make it in June. But I think more of April was canceled due to I had that upper respiratory infection the beginning of last month. Oh, the schedule for the different collabs you are doing. There is I have posted posts about them on Instagram, so they are there. You just have to kind of scroll through it. Okay, Mike, welcome back. So either if you are a paid in full annual pass holder, you either can get a refund, or you can have the number of days that Disney is closed added to the end of your annual pass. Like, okay. So I thought about it. Lynn from the Lynn Project was kind of talking about it a little bit last night on her stream with Disney News, and I had already heard about it kind of previous, and I had been thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? The amount of the refund would probably not even amount to a park ticket. I did the math, and I am looking at roughly right now till the from the time it closed through when it's potentially could open in May, an extra 46 days added to the end of my annual pass. And that means that I would have until potentially March 11th to use my annual pass on an additional trip to Disney World. As you guys know, I've talked about it quite a bit. I'm also a travel agent. The company that I work for, Magical Enchanted Vacations, has a perk through Universal that if I complete my training every year, like update it, take whatever, like maybe they've added something new. Like this year they added in just a little few clips about Mardi Gras. I complete that, I get a free three-day 3-park ticket. That's pretty cool. I also can get like half price tickets and stuff. So Sam and I are talking, and he asked me what I would like to do. And I said, well, in a perfect world, I live down there. And Sam kind of laughed. And I'm like, but in a logical world where I know that I'm not, I'm wondering if we could get me in for a 2-week trip. Kind of looked at me and went, okay. I said, what about 1 week, potentially maybe a little bit longer at Disney, and a few days at Universal? And Sam went, okay. And this conversation came up. We had the weirdest conversations, the weirdest times. Like, instead of having a logical conversation like in normal times, we start having meaningful and thought process conversations at like 8 o'clock at night when he's trying to go to bed. But like, I think I know why that happens because like your brain starts processing through things like as you're going to sleep and you go, oh, type of thing. Let's discuss this. And um, so like I said, in a perfect world, I'd get to go for a couple weeks and towards the end of February, beginning of March, and get to do um, Flower and Garden and Mardi Gras. Flower and Garden at Disney and Mardi Gras at Universal. That would be the whole reason I'd want to go to Universal is to be able to see Mardi Gras and experience a different resort. My plan is I'm waiting on my gift card back from um, Disney to book the first part. I'm already have a trip booked with Lady Jamers for the 8th to the 15th of September. So much fun. It's a girls trip. If you are interested and you are not part of that chat on Instagram, let Lady Jamers or myself know. We probably need to revisit that chat and say, hey, is anybody else interested or planning to go? I mean, I know a lot of people's plans have changed from the time that we kind of started talking about this girls trip and actually planned it and booked it. Um, but my plan is to go the first. I'll be there the 1st to the 8th, kind of bouncing around by myself, and then the 8th through the 15th, do some stuff with Lady Jamers and some other people potentially, and then on the 15th, get up super early and go take this will be fine. Take the Magical Express back to um, Orlando Airport to get on the Superstar Shuttle and go to Universal. Um, the the It'll work out. It will be completely fine. Yeah, Lady Jana says we would love for more people to come along. So far, it's just going to be. I think Angela's planning to be there and potentially Mama Mouse, but they're kind of working on that right now. And then of course there's always like people from Florida that will be down there. Probably the Mickey Bunch and um, Mickey Sightings and Mouse Talk. So there'll be other people that are already down there, but I think people would like to go down there, to fly and pay and whatnot. So far, it's just Lady Jamers and myself. Oh, excuse me. So, and then it'll be a fun trip. Whether I have to shorten it or whether I have to say, okay, instead of flying in on the 1st, I'm flying in on the 8th, and maybe be able to extend it, a little ways past that way. And Mike Wheeler too. Yeah, the main thing on the girls thread was a lot of them wanted in October, but September was cheap. Well, there's food and wine in October too, but I was able to find a discounted room that made it about $450 a piece for the week for each of us, for Lady Jamers and myself. So Fantasmic Chronicles, food and wine is very important. I 100% agree, and the wine portion of that is the most important of all. Just kidding, it's all important. But a lot of them like, well, we would rather go in October. We're already planning to go in October, and we probably couldn't do months back to back. Yeah, Donna Jaworski says she wanted to meet up. So it's just, and who knows what has changed for some people. I know I was reading an article yesterday, so Thursday, that Wednesday 6.6 million Americans applied for unemployment. And that was very sad to me. So, Fantasmic Chronicles, it is your favorite festival. Well, come down, Tony, September 8th through the 15th. Come down on the girls' trip. Come hang out with us. You know what? You can be our bodyguard. You could be our bodyguard as we walk around food line. That'd be really funny. We'll make you the princess protection shirt. And when Lady Jamers, I'll be wearing princess. I say shirts that I'm the princess. I've had no coffee yet this morning. I'm slightly deranged first thing in the morning without coffee. I apologize for anyone watching the replay. Since we're canceling airfare in June, so you'll have your bring your family down. I'd love they could your wife could come hang out with us and you can take care of the kids. Bring her down to come play with us. Yeah, that's another problem that a lot of people have said. Pam says she tried to apply for unemployment, but the service kept saying they were not able to load the pages. Yeah, a lot of people are having problems. Some people just instead of doing it all online, they printed off the paperwork and they faxed it in. They said that they found that was a lot easier and less stressful. Shamer says, you don't have to even wear ears, just a pink hat. Tony'd probably do it too. Tony is a fellow agent with MEV. June. My kids don't need to be around food. That's what grandparents are. They're even better. Even better. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. A lot of people aren't going to be able to go down at least right away. So probably a lot more people are going to wait. They're like, well, at this point, we might as well wait until 2021 and go down for the 50th. Tony says I'd wear both, especially after some Epcot beer. Okay, if you didn't know, I posted it on my Instagram. April 7th is National Beer Day, and I was like, I really want some Epcot grapefruit beer because you can't get that grapefruit beer around here. Rambling Hick, welcome in. It's going well. We are glad that you are here. Welcome to the craziness of my live streams. Sending a message, sorry. If I can spell. Lady Joe's like, awesome! Come join the party. And really, I think instead of it being like specifically a girls trip, I think it's just like it's a YouTuber catch up in September. I know some people will probably go in August, some people will go whenever, but that is when it works best for Lady Jamers. I will actually be taking 3 weeks off of work to go. I am a substitute paraprofessional for our local school district. And so, oh, you've missed it, Ramblin' Hick. We are a ball of crazy in here. Especially when I haven't had coffee. I know some people will go in August. I know some people go like in September, October, for different reasons, or even some people will push it like into the holiday season, or they may just say, we've saved up this much money, we're going to wait and put it towards 2021 for the 50th anniversary. No, Tony, I can't get the Schuschenpfeffer in around here. Our local liquor store won't even buy it because they'd have to order a big case of it, and I would only be grabbing like a 6-pack. They won't even order it for me. Yep, nuts. You're in the right spot. So, yeah, it really has become just a chance to meet up with people. Okay, Michael's okay. Place your bets now on how far around the world showcase Tony will get to both pink hat and ears. Go on. I am Mike Wheeler. If you want to play bookie, you go right ahead. But yeah, it really is just kind of become a chance for people to meet up, hang out, have fun, go do some Disney. Really, it'll become, oh my gosh, I could tug someone that's not my immediate family. So, but yeah, Lady Jira says 2 pavilions. So 2 drinks then and Tony's done. I say he's gonna at least get halfway around. I think Tony can hold his alcohol a little bit better than that. Wow, this has took a really odd tangent. That's alright. It's Fun Friday! I will get farther if we start at Canada. If we start at Mexico, La Cava de Tequila always does me in. We are so starting in Mexico. We're so starting in Mexico. Tony, you blew that. Mike says we're having a long stop in Mexico. Oh, we can get some good. Okay, Tony, that's impressive. Tony made it from Canada to Mexico in 20. That's impressive, dude. You literally took. Okay. Was that in one day, like at once, or were you sharing it? That's impressive, dude. Something that I found them on Etsy. I'll bring them up for you on a share screen real quick. I know I'm going to have like some as a travel agent, and Tony, you're going to understand this. I'm going to have some that are just adults. I'm going to have some that are adults that want to drink while they're at Disney, and some that will not. But for those who do, I think I'm going to order or try to recreate these. I am going to pull it up real quick. I'll show you 2 different options here. I'll show you one and one. Okay. We gotta do the Grand Fiesta during food and wine in one day. Okay. Did you drink at every? Okay, Tony. We may have to have a discussion on this sometime. Hold on. Hey, Tony, check your Instagram. I was just about to ask. Check your Instagram, Tony. Oh my gracious. Oh, that's too funny. Okay, I'm gonna share screen. Chrome tab. Okay, so this is something that I found and I really like it. And I think I'm going to try to recreate it myself. The only thing is I'm not sure if I can do it as cheaply because like they've got lanyards and little pockets for protecting them. I like supporting small businesses, and so even at $10 a piece, excuse me, unless I could find a really good deal on like lanyards and clips, I would probably buy them. But what it is a drink around the world, and you get a little permanent marker, and you literally can check off, like write in what you drank as you go around. And now this is specifically for each pavilion. This does not include like any of the festivals. Like you can personalize it. You can no personalization or personalize, but I probably wouldn't personalize it. You can add ears to it. But here's the different photos. I think this is the Mickey ear option with the name in it. And I'm trying to decide if it's a permanent marker or if let's see. I don't know if it's a permanent marker or if it is, okay, I thought it includes, yep, it's a black permanent marker. Because you can also get dry erase markers like this that you could if you're an annual pass holder and you're planning to go a couple times, you could reuse it, but I'd be afraid like it would rub off. But then here's, somebody holding it, and somebody submitted a group photo and the copy. So that is something that I'm thinking about doing for some of my clients. Pam says, I can't do the drink around the Epcot because I'd be driving a motorized scooter and wouldn't want to drink and drive at Disney. Trust me, it doesn't stop anyone else. Lady Jana says, I could do that without paying someone. And see, I could too, but I don't know about the whole lanyard and protective piece. Oh boy. And
hello.
It's totally, we want to know about this.
Which part? The part where I made it all around the world, or the part where I thought
and during
me?
Well, both, because they go together. But no, it wasn't just the pavilions. You stopped at every booth for food and wine.
Yeah, there was a couple of them I didn't try some beers at. I mean, but not very many. But a lot of times they only give you like a 4-ounce pour. And of course, at Germany, I love every beer they have there. I'm a big fan of beer. I know a lot about beer. I mean, so for me, beer is not just like this yellow thing in a cup. I'm a beer connoisseur. I'm kind of a beer snob, actually. My wife gets really mad when I bring home beer because it's usually like $12, $13 a 6-pack or a 4-pack sometimes. So we started in Canada, and I mean, the day just went on, and I love discovering new beers. And every place you go here, there's something from every country. So you just wind up going, well, let me try this, let me try that. And next thing you know, you're halfway around the world, and you're literally halfway around the world. I mean, in your mind and physically.
Welcome in.
Yeah, my wife pretty much said when we got to Mexico, we went to I can't remember the restaurant that's inside the show pavilion.
Pyramid.
Yeah. The girl came up, took our order, and my wife was looking at. They've got this super expensive margarita there. It's like $34, and she goes, "I think I
remember saying that."
She says, "I think I'm going to get that," and I go, "You go right on ahead." I says, "Because I think I'm getting water here." And the girl comes up and she goes, "Can I offer you one of our beers, sir?" And I says, "About the only thing you can offer me now is a large glass of water and keep it coming." I was melting. Literally, and
I say props to you for like still being upright, dude.
Well, I mean, we were busy throughout the day, and I mean, we ate throughout the park too.
And that makes a difference.
That definitely helps. We had to wait about 45 minutes for our seats. We were waiting outside, and all I kept thinking was, I want to go in here to La Cava de Tequila and try some of the tequilas, but my wife just said, no, this is our honeymoon. I'd hate for this to be our divorce as well. She goes, because she said, you're not exactly the friendliest person right now. You're a little bit edgy.
You look grumpy.
Yeah. And I'm like, I am very dehydrated right now. My favorite beer that I had at Disney was it wasn't in Italy. It was actually in the small Italy booth over by the lagoon. And it's by a beer manufacturer called John Moretti. And it's technically a double bock, but they call it double malt. I If you like beers that have a sweetness to it, this would definitely be right up your alley. It kind of fits into like a Killian's Irish Red, any
Okay.
type of red style beer that's got some sweet malt to it. But this here, I mean, it definitely wasn't like cheap like a Killian's Irish Red. It's a very smooth, very slightly sweet beer. And myself, I'm a dark beer drinker. I'm not a huge IPA guy, but I found a lot of IPAs there that I really like too. And the problem is when you find an IPA you like, that's usually when you're done for, because those are usually very high in alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, a lot of stouts come in measuring about 4.5%, 5%. IPAs, I had one there I got at, they had microbreweries from the Orlando area back in, I'm not thinking very clearly today. Oh, yeah, thank you, buddy. Oh, well, I was talking about a Disney, buddy. My son brought
Aw,
me a glass of water.
that's so sweet.
My kids are awesome.
Aw.
My kids have take pretty good care of me when I'm not feeling the best or when I'm laid up or.
That's adorable. That's adorable.
But Christine Hickman, if you love Guinness, I don't know if they'll carry it every time they have a food and wine festival, but I know they carry it at a lot of the resorts. Trying to remember which way the name of it was, but I believe the brewery is called J Dub's Brewery, but they got one that's called Bell Cow, which is a milk chocolate porter. And myself, I thought, how good is this going to be when it's 92 degrees in Florida sun? If you're a chocolate milk fan, you're going to love the Bell Cow porter. The triple chocolate beer. No, I wasn't at last year's Food and Wine Festival. The one in 2017, there was a microbrewery, and what's the name of the building back there they use for things like the stuff that you can pick up for like food and wine and for Festival of the Arts. And if you go across the bridge, it's off to the left. You can actually take the walkway across to it instead of taking the International Bridge. I can't think of the name of it.
I know where you're talking about. I just can't kind of put the name at the moment.
Anyways, it'll be right there. If you leave Mexico, it'll be right there on your right before you get back to the gift shops where you go back over the bridge.
It's the festival building is how I know the name.
Seven Seas building or Seven Seas. I don't. No. You know which building I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's the building currently where all of this stuff is set up for the Epcot experience.
Yep, that building there. But when you went in there, they had like 7 or 8 breweries that are in the Orlando area, and I found a couple really nice porters in there. Anytime you tell me you have a milk stout for me to try, I'm going to be all over it. And there was a couple of them that had that. And actually, as much as I never liked IPAs, it took going to Food and Wine for me to start finding IPAs that I liked, because they are really bitter sometimes and very hard to drink.
The Chosen Dutch welcome in. Magic of the Mouse TV welcome in. The Griswold Family Vacay. I think I said hello to you, but I don't remember. The Chosen Dutch stuff is a chocolate milk, man. That's 100% fine.
Yep. Lady Jammers, if you had a Guinness and you don't like it, I highly recommend going in and trying what's called Guinness platforms. I don't know what they call it at Rose and Crown, but a lot of bars, especially any bar that serves Guinness, in order to get Guinness served in your bar, you actually have to be trained how to properly pour Guinness, which there's a uniqueness to it. And a lot of stouts, you actually build your Guinness instead of pour your Guinness. And sometimes your Guinness has not been built properly, and that's the reason why you didn't like it. A good Guinness really does have that that rich, full body.
It's milky, very smooth.
Yes, and it should really have no bitter aftertaste and no it shouldn't be rough to get down. If it tastes
Mm-mm.
perfumey, give it back. Tell them that it's not, and honestly, tell them just like this is not built right. And if they tell you built, ask for a different bartender. Because a lot of times people find out that's why they do not like Guinness is because it was not poured correctly.
Mm-hmm. And trying it, and you'll agree with this. They agree with me on this, Tony, that drinking a Guinness out of a bottle
Mm-hmm.
and drinking a Guinness that's poured correctly is a very different experience.
Yes, very different. If you go somewhere and they say they don't have it on tap, but they have it available, if they don't have it in the can, stay away from it. Which, I mean, for me, I like Guinness, and if you give it a nice hard pour in the right glass, uh, you can get a similar pour out of it if you can build the head on it the way you need to. But it's very difficult out of a bottle. In the can,
Mm-hmm.
they've created what's called a widget. It's a ball with nitrous oxide
Mm-hmm.
in it. And when
Yep.
that can opens, the pressure from it releases that ball and allows that nitrous in there, which gives Guinness the smoothness that it has. And that's what a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stouts need to build that
Yep.
frothy head and the smoothness that it needs.
Yep.
Let's see,
Um,
Crooked Can. Hey, you know what? I'm down for any brewery. I love brewery tours. You know how
you should
people.
add brewery. You should add brewery tours to your channel, Tony.
Well, and that's something I do have planned coming up this summer because
Cool.
we've got two gold medal winning breweries right here. One of them is 15 minutes away, and one is about 40 minutes away. It's JAFB Brewery. It's about 40 minutes north of me. He got his start with Anheuser-Busch, and then he went and he was one of the founding brewers for New Belgium. And then he decided he wanted to go off and do more of his own thing. And then he came back home to Ohio, and he actually took 6 gold medals at the World Beer Classic the first year that he went.
That's actually really impressive.
Yeah, he works with Maker's Mark to do his bourbon barrel stouts. Like when you walk
Oh wow.
into when you walk into his place, it's got you ever been into the Plate Pig?
I have not. I was
Okay,
going to on our last trip, but it was just packed.
okay. Well, anyways, when you walk through the line, you have to actually walk past the smokers. You kind of do that when you're walking into this place. You walk in the door and you go around this area and you go back and you go past these glass doors that show you his vats and everything. You can see all the barrels that say Maker's Mark on it and everything. So he buys Maker's barrels, and that's what he uses for his bourbon barrel stouts.
Okay. That's really cool. I know that the first time I had Guinness, we were actually on a trip in Branson. We were staying at Westgate Branson Woods. We were timeshare owners out there, and it was happy hour, so it was half price pints,
Mm-hmm.
and they were trying to take care of this big group of people that was standing waiting at the bar for their drinks. Well, they over poured by one Guinness. And it kind of sat there for a couple minutes. And I said, who does that belong to? And they're like, we messed up. We made an extra one. And they said, how much you going to charge me for if I say I'll take it? They said, here, have it. We can't. It's either pour it out or you can have it because it's not a fresh one. And it actually, it wasn't bad. It's like you would like it a little bit more if it had been right off, like fresh. But it was actually
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. Sam ended up finishing it. And so that's how and if you aren't sure, and this is something that I found being at going up to a bar and saying, hey, I don't know much about beer. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I like. They will just pour you a very little amount and let you taste it.
Yep.
Don't just go into a bar just to play taste test. Like I'll buy something, But if you aren't sure, like I didn't know if I liked dark beers or light beers because I wasn't a beer drinker. I started out with the tequila and the rum. I didn't
Yeah.
really, and that when I was 21, I didn't drink before I turned 21, and so
I didn't
we were
either.
there, and oh, thank you, the Chosen Dutch, appreciate that. So um, I got to try Shock Top and Guinness, and I actually preferred Shock Top over Guinness. And Sam was all happy that I got the Shock Top because he's like, well, give me the rest of your Guinness then.
Yeah, Shock Top is not a bad beer. I mean, I think they were, and I say this a lot about a lot of breweries. Like, I am a huge supporter of Sam Adams. I love their product. But I think that
Yeah.
same with Shock Top, same with New Belgium right now. New Belgium started out, they couldn't get out of Colorado, and they finally did, and it feels like their product is suffering because of how wide they are now. Because you lose something when you're making something macro as compared to micro. Because you're making them in much larger batches, and you're probably trying to churn them out at a much higher rate of speed. So when you do that, you're appealing to the masses, but you're losing a little bit of probably why you got into the brewery business to begin with. Yeah, you wanted to succeed, but you wanted to put something out there that was fresh, innovative, and new. I mean, like us as creators, we're always trying to find that fresh thing. And then once you get it, it's staying fresh and not becoming stale and doing the same thing over and over.
Yes, Griswold. Shock Top is good with fresh orange. It's actually meant to be served with oranges. And for some reason, I watched a documentary on Shock Top one day because I was bored. And the guy actually said that when they first started creating Shock Top and serving it at bars, they were serving it with lemon, and people really weren't caring for it because the lemon was offsetting the orange, and it's meant to have an orange flavor. So he actually went from bar to bar to bar with a bag of oranges, sliced up the oranges, and served it with the beer. And they're like, "What are you doing? You don't serve oranges with beer." He's like, "No, watch." And the same people who didn't like it before when they were serving it with lemon loved it with the orange.
Yeah, and a lot of wheat beers, and people mistake wheat beers for Hefeweizen. Very similar, but yet so different. Hefeweizens are meant to have a lemon squeezed into it. Not necessarily the lemon in it, but the juice squeezed in it. And there is a difference. Like people like lime in their Corona. A Hefeweizen isn't meant for you to drop a lemon in it and go with it. A lot of times they say, if you're going to do that, muddle it in the bottom, then pour your Hefeweizen in.
Yeah.
The difference between the wheat beer and the Hefeweizen is small, but enough that the different citrus flavor within the acid is what builds the flavor in it to begin with. But the flavor of the fruit definitely makes the difference in the alcohol. Like I find a lot of times a piece of grapefruit or a piece of orange in my IPAs because they are very stingy to begin with. And because of the type of hops they use, they are very citric. They go great with them. Like one of my favorites is Goose Island IPA. If I get it and I don't have an orange, I will wait until I get an orange because it is not as good without the orange as it is with it. And I used to be one of those people, if you need fruit in your beer, you bought a bad beer. Well, that's because the only beer at the time you really put fruit in was Corona, which, I mean, Corona is not a good beer. It's just not.
It's not.
I mean, for me, if I'm going to drink a beer from south of the border, it's going to be Pacifico, or a Modelo Dark, and even at that, I mean, they're not the best beers out there. Shiner S'mores. That sounds very intriguing. Shiner is one of those manufacturers that have tried over the years to make new stuff. And these beer companies are trying to do that. They're trying to make new stuff so that they can stay relevant with these companies. I mean, you go to a place like a World Market or like here in Ohio. I don't know if they're outside of Ohio, maybe Pennsylvania, but it's a restaurant. It's called the Winking Lizard, and they send their bartenders off to school they send people that work as waiters and waitresses. They send a handful off to a school to learn about all these beers around the world. And like if you're sitting at the table and you're looking through, they have anytime they have at least 101 beers available and over 50 on tap at all times. So you're going through all this beer. I mean, not everybody knows that much about beer. If you ask them, I need a beer geek, someone will come to the table that can walk you through and put you in the perfect beer. I mean, just like someone coming over to measure you for a suit, that's what these people do. They talk to you about what you like, what you don't like. And if you can't decide on something, they will bring you something. And I guarantee you 95% of the time, those people are like, this is my new favorite beer. Because they just know so much about, they know about the IBUs, they know about the ABVs, they understand how things match up with food. I mean, kind of like a sommelier.
I will say that I have found, and you'll probably find this really funny, the best place to taste different types of beer at a low cost is actually a casino. Most of the restaurants inside the casino, or at least the ones around here, they have a beer flight package that you can purchase. And the beer flight, they're all 1 ounce pours, and you get 12 of them. So you get 12 1 ounce pours. But like, say say you only want to try 10 because you know that you like something else. You can get 2 of the same one. Or maybe maybe you're doing it as a date night. And so you're each going to you're each going to pick 6, and you can each taste, or you can each pick 2 of the same. So you can say, oh yeah, this one was really good. I really liked this one. And that way you're not having to share a 1 ounce pour with somebody. It makes for a really great date night. And it also, they're typically maybe $10-12, but it's better to spend the $10 to $12 on a beer flight than it is to spend that much money on a 6-pack of something that the rest is going to live in your fridge, and you've got to find someone to pawn them off on.
Yeah. I find a lot of times when I go somewhere new that I will go with the beer flight over a standard beer, even if I know what I like, just because when one of our restaurants, every time we go to Disney, is the beer garden. I love the food there. It's a very underrated restaurant. I think you have to really like the food that's there, but the service there is great. I love the family style, and they carry 4 beers, and I get the flight every time, and then I usually wind up with a pint of the good old Schefferhofer, the grapefruit. But you get 4 4-ounce pours, and then and they're all delicious.
Sorry, Bill.
Hey, beer 30
No
is always
here.
right around the corner. And I'm looking at my clock right now, and it says specifically it's beer 30. Beer 31, but it's beer 30 somewhere.
Right. And technically, because we're all on staycations. On vacation, I know we use Garden Grocer when we're at the parks, and we always have beer delivered to our room, just because it's cheaper to have one in our room than it is to we have our favorites. Like Sam Hurley has a beer in Germany that he likes, and I like the grapefruit beer in Germany. So we'll get that. But like, other than that, we really don't drink in the parks. We'll have it in our rooms. Sam's breakfast is grab a bottle of Sam Adams out of the fridge. He starts his morning that way.
When you're on vacation, why not? I mean, it's not like you live your life that way, and
right. So right now, half of us are on a mandatory vacation anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Start your day out with a beer, right?
Well, they say that George Washington sat down every morning with a stout with his breakfast. So, and I mean, and he did lead the Continental Army,
right? So I mean, you can't say that it doesn't work.
I mean, he rode in on pink elephants some mornings, but
I'm sure he did. Griswold Family Vacation says, I love all this beer knowledge from you. You never know what kind of fun tangents my live streams are going to take. Because, hey, the title is Fun Friday. What fun socially distant things are you doing? We're going to drink. We could
But
do that and be socially distant.
but if you drink enough, you fall down and you don't have to worry about being close to people.
Very true.
I mean, the hangover sucks, but you don't have to worry about being around people. I mean, unless they're falling down on the floor next to you, then that could be a problem.
Right.
I will tell you
Too
one thing.
funny.
When we went in 2017, that day, we spent 2 different days at the Food and Wine Festival. That day that we spent the whole day over there and decided to, and the intent was not to drink around the world. I mean, and nor do I think that we, like I said, I didn't drink at every booth. It was pretty close. And unfortunately, we had our magic bands on, and you know what you can do with your magic band when you go to these booths?
Tap, tap.
Tell you a secret. I'll tell you 2 things. First of all, next time we go, I'm buying the wristband, the prepaid wristband. Second of all, do not call the number to find out the balance of what you spent that day.
You probably don't want to know.
It was over $300.
It's easily done.
And I mean, and a lot of these, like I said, were 4-ounce pours.
Mm-hmm. Sam and I, when we go, we always dedicate, and it was easier to do when Disney had, a go ahead. I gotta do something real quick.
Okay. Yeah. So how many people in here have attempted to go around the world, or at least go at like Food and Wine and try several different types of beers? Because that's really the fun part of something like a Food and Wine Festival. I mean, I realize the food is equally important. I mean, don't get me wrong, we had a lot of great food, but when you go, you're getting a chance to try things that you may never get a chance to try again, especially at some of these smaller countries. Especially a lot of these smaller countries, they're bringing in their breweries from their native lands that aren't really broadly spread around the United States. So for me, it's fun to find those new things that you probably never going to see again, because a lot of these beers are only there for 1 year, and then they go with something else the next year, unless it's vastly popular. Like I know that the John Moretti is something that the Italy booth has every single year, because they even told me when I was asking them about it, because I ask a lot of questions when I buy a beer. I want to know, what's the ABV, what's the IBUs. So it gives me an idea of what I'm looking at in a beer, because I rate them for myself just as much as I do. Like there are people that have accounts with places like Brewed and Untapped, where this is what they do. They go out and they buy a new beer, they taste it, they try it, then they actually rate it on there. And, some of these people get as big as some YouTubers are in the beer community.
Mm-hmm.
They have breweries that actually contact them and send them stuff, because their reviews are so highly viewed that they want people knowing what they think of that beer.
Right.
And Griswold family vacay, if your wife would love to drink around the world, I will suggest one thing. Fit water in there. Fit lots of water in there. Yeah. And that's one thing that we did a lot of. We would stop at booths. When I get my beer, I'd usually get a water with it. And it sounds like a lot to take in, but like I said in the beginning, I went from Canada all the way to Mexico, and I'd have never made it without water.
Right. And getting a gift card, you can load up to $1,000 on one gift card. And
can you really?
Yeah, you can. Even if you buy little ones, you can go to DisneyGiftCard.com and create an account, and you can combine them into one card.
Yeah, we actually did that this last trip. because the kids had so many gift cards from so many people. And,
Yeah.
old dad's got to shove 7, 8, 10 gift cards into his wallet. And then towards the end of the trip, my wife's like, why aren't we combining these gift cards? And as much as I know about Disney, my wife's like, how did you not know this? And I'm like, well,
Well, that's a tip
I,
that you could share with your clients as well, Tony. That
yes,
hey, you have a whole bunch of gift cards. What I like to do. Sorry, Sam was up for lunch in half an hour, so I'm also working on making lunch. Anybody want a grilled cheese sandwich?
I love grilled cheese.
Um, I we are annual pass holders, so we pay out of pocket for our meals because for us the dining plan just one we would have to buy tickets with it, and that doesn't work. So we buy gift cards for all of our meals, and we simply say, okay, we know that we're going to eat like you preset your table service and stuff. So we just kind of estimated, and we always added a little bit extra onto each card. But we had a card for each day of the week, and whatever we didn't use that day, we would just go in online at the end of the day and transfer it to the next day's card. That way, we always knew we had what we had going into the day. And of course, like we had cash as well. But if it's on a gift card, you know how much is there, and it keeps you from the whole oh I can just tap my band, and then going holy cow I just exceeded resort charges like a $1,500. Where did it all go?
Yeah, Magic of the Mouse TV, the Disney app. Are you talking about the MDE? Because if so, it's just going to cause more issues. It seems like every time they start to get it right, they update it and it's all wrong again. That is the worst app that anybody has ever created. Disney's the most powerful media outlet in the world, and they can't figure out how to get an app right. I don't know how anybody winds up getting anything for Rise of the Resistance when they have to do their online boarding in the park, because I've heard so many people say that they'd be inside the park and they wouldn't be able to. It would tell them they weren't inside of Hollywood Studios, or the app would not work for them. And
we were all scanned into the park, and it was showing that Abby was not. Abby is the daughter, and so
I remember that too. I remember them talking about that.
They were really nice. It showed that she was in the park, and they're like, "Look, you guys were all in the park, and she's obviously not an adult. She's obviously with you guys." So they just added her onto they added her manually boarding pass. But you're right. Why is it not working correctly, or why does there have to be a trick or a tip to make it work?
Yeah, and then there were so many people that were using GPS trickers. They would to make it appear as though they were in the park when they really weren't. And then you got people that are in the park that can't get their passes to get on Rise of the Resistance, which I have mixed feelings on the whole virtual queue system. I think that the intention was good, and I don't see an issue as far as it's not building 5 and 6 hour lines or 7 hour lines, because the ride is not that reliable yet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you've got 10,000 people that are reserved for Rise of the Resistance, they're wandering around to other parts of the park and overloading other lines because they don't have to wait in line for this ride.
Right.
Which, if I had the reservation, okay. But at the same time, if I can't get one and I want to take my kids over to ride Slinky Dog, which because of Rise of the Resistance, really I should only be waiting 45 minutes for it. Now all of a sudden it's a 2.5 hour line because 1,000 people decided to go ride Slinky Dog because they have all this time now because they don't have to wait in line for Rise of the Resistance. Magic of the Mouse TV, Dewclaw Brewery, yes, Sweet Baby Jesus and Oh for Pete's Sake are two of my favorite beers. They do carry a few of them over here. I would really like to try the Chili Fuego. I cannot find that anywhere around here. But those two peanut butter stouts are great, and they also have one called Dirty Little Freak, which is
Google, set an alarm for 8 minutes.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Now I've got my phone just set one, and I just heard my home mini set one. But anyways, Dewclaw, are you into Girl Scout cookies at all, Lena?
I actually am a Girl Scout. I'm a prior Girl Scout. So yes.
Are you a fan of tagalongs or the Samoas?
Tagalongs.
Samoas. Okay. Dewclaw Brewery out of Maryland makes one, Sweet Baby Jesus, and there's a story behind this beer, and I don't know if Magic of the Mouse TV is aware of it or not, but they come out with Sweet Baby Jesus, which was a 6% ABV peanut butter stout, and I mean it literally tastes like a tagalong, and people in the Christian community were all up in arms because they called it Sweet Baby Jesus.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
And so they decided to say, you know what, if this is the way you're going to be, we're going to take it one step further. And they made an imperial peanut butter stout, which was 9.8% ABV, and they called it Oh for Pete's Sake. You know, just to kind of push back at the community for being, and then, like I said, the Samoas, they made one called Dirty Little Freak, which is a caramel and coconut porter. But they are really good at making the infused style beers. Like they have one that's a habanero and chocolate infused. I just went into the park. By the way, did you happen to watch Danny and Jess's video last night with their sister? Their premiere?
I was actually getting ready to I was getting ready for Lynn's stream, and I was working, so I had not.
Yeah, that is really good if you want to go back and look at it. But anyways, my notifications on my phone for a lot of things is the Magic Band, like when you enter the park. And they were going into the park in one of the scenes, and at the same time that the bell went off for their thing, my phone went off as well. So we were just kind of laughing that, because my daughter Caitlin, she's a little naive sometimes. I love her to death, but every time it went off, I tell her, say, well, it's let me know that people were going into the Magic Kingdom. Really?
Aww.
Matter of fact, they're probably all sitting out in the living room right now watching me because I had you on the TV when I came in here and set up the laptop.
Hi.
I'm not able to stay on. I do have to run and do some stuff, but thanks for having me on. I had a good time.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming in and hanging out with us. We actually were live for a little over an hour and a half.
Yeah,
so that's awesome. Thank you so much for chatting with us. And if you guys enjoyed this stream, please let me know. We can maybe do some more streams like this. Tony, you're more than welcome to come hang out with us with those two. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.
For more pub talk.
Right? And of course, the end button never works. So.
Nope, it never does.